Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with a Spain news update. And with the success of the political party Vox in last weekend's elections in Castilla y León, some political pundits are saying that the right wing here in Spain has changed forever. But more about that in just a moment. Firstly, a big thanks to all of the people that left comments on the last video. Lots of comments, lots of debate happening there as usual. Thanks to people that supported the channel through a donation or by buying me a beer or a coffee. Many thanks for that. Thanks to people that bought merchandise, and a big thanks to my patrons on Patreon for your support. Now, let's get into the news, and as I said, Vox's success in last weekend's elections in Castilla y León means that the political landscape for right-wing parties here in Spain has changed. And as we can see here, the rise of Vox, how Vox has changed the right-wing political map. Vox was the big winner of the elections in Castilla y León on the 13th of February. The near disappearance of Ciudadanos, instead of strengthening the PP to govern alone, has fueled Santiago Abascal's party and its debutant candidate, Juan García Gallardo, who comfortably surpassed 17% of the votes, above even his result in this community in the 2019 general elections. Vox's result opens a new stage in the political cycle in Spain. The third force in the Congress of Deputies is confirming, ballot box by ballot box, its position as the PP's main competitor and has overtaken Ciudadanos in almost every election held since November 2019. With each defeat for the party led by Inés Arrimadas, the key to governability on the right changes hands, and now Vox wants to cross that door that leads to management positions, as Podemos and the Orange Party did before. So there we go, and as the article said, ballot box after ballot box, Vox is confirming itself as the main competitor to the Partido Popular here in Spain, who, as we know, had a fairly clear run on the right side of politics in this country for close to 40 years. Now, the dust still hasn't settled after those elections at the weekend in Castilla y León, and the main political parties involved are still trying to work out what to do next. And Prime Minister Sanchez spoke up yesterday and offered the PP his support if it breaks with Vox forever and in all territories. A cordon sanitaire for every day, forever, and in all territories. These are the demands that the president of the government, Pedro Sanchez, has made to the leader of the opposition, Pablo Casado, in exchange for offering the abstention of the socialists in Castilla y León so that the Popular Party can govern alone without Vox. The Popular Party is looking for ways to avoid having to agree to a coalition government with Santiago Abascal's party, and the leader of the Socialists has taken the opportunity to try to portray them with a proposal that is currently a chimera for the PP. Among the Socialists themselves, it is recognised as not very feasible for the Popular Party. The moment of truth has arrived. That is how Sanchez opened the government control session to respond to Casado, urging him that he has to decide whether to open the doors to a PP government with the far right or not. So a difficult situation for Mr. Casado currently, and basically he's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't get into bed with Vox. Having the Socialist Party abstain from voting in future decisions would probably be the best result for the Partido Popular, but again that's not going to be easy given the demands put on the table by Pedro Sanchez. So we'll wait and see what happens in Castilla y León over the next few days. Now, tragedy has again hit the Galician fishing industry, with a boat sinking off the Canadian coast. And as we can see from this headline, relatives of the crew of the sunken ship in Canada, we don't know if our nephew is alive. Tragedy has struck the Galician fishing industry once again. The freezer vessel Via de Pitancho, based in the port of Marin, sank in Newfoundland waters with 24 crew members, but there are only 3 survivors confirmed by the Canadian authorities in the midst of a complicated rescue operation in freezing temperatures, with a tragic provisional death toll of 10. The news came in the early hours of the morning, and the hours passed without the ship owner's company being able to clarify the possible causes of the shipwreck, much less the number of dead and missing. A spokesman for the Nordes shipowning group was powerless to confirm the information coming from Newfoundland. We are receiving news, but much of it is confusing and contradictory, so we have to be cautious because there are many families behind this tragedy, he told El País. So sad news there with that Galician fishing boat going down and only 3 survivors so far. So let's hope more can be found, but it's not looking good according to Canadian authorities. Now there's an update on the proposed changes for the social security quota system for self-employed people here in Spain. And apparently, Minister Escrivá is open to modifying the contributions of the self-employed. He proposes a new range of between €214 and €991 depending on their income. The first proposal that the Ministry of Inclusion, Social Security and Migration put on the table to define the range within which the self-employed should adjust their contributions according to their real income was between €184 for those with lower incomes and €1,267 for those with higher incomes. However, the playing field has changed and the margins are now different. At the meeting on Tuesday with the organisations representing the self-employed, the department headed by José Luis Escrivá has altered the parameters of its original approach at both ends. It now proposes €214 for the self-employed with the lowest income, €30 more, and €991 for the highest margins, €276 less. So there we go, some good news there that the minister is open to modifying the contributions, but still a long way off from where a lot of self-employed people here in Spain want them to be. So I think they're going to have to keep on negotiating. Now, the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, has entered the debate on the spending of European funds here in Spain, and it is calling on Spain to use EU funds transparently and efficiently. The International Monetary Fund, the IMF, has good and bad messages for both the government and the PP political opposition. In its preliminary report on Spain published on Wednesday, the IMF praises the investment and reform agenda linked to European funds, and in particular, the labour reform that the government has agreed with the social partners. However, the report's editors stress the importance of establishing a framework to ensure a transparent and efficient use of investment funds linked to the Next Generation EU program. So the IMF calling for transparency and efficiency when it comes to those EU funds. And transparency has been a huge problem here for governments in the past, and it surprises me that the current government is not being more transparent given the problems that Spain has had in the past. Now let's have a look at a summary of the health situation in Spain, and we can see the accumulated incidence rate now down to 1,142. Hospital pressure has been downgraded to medium and now sits at 9.2%, and ICU pressure remains high at 15.6%. Now anybody looking to come to Spain and work is in luck, as a list of the most in-demand professions has been published. And as we can see here, these are the most in-demand professions in Spain: IT, health and technical profiles. IT, healthcare and technical profiles dedicated to industry and construction are among the most in-demand professions among Spanish companies, where 52.9% of human resources managers say they have problems recruiting talent, according to the Adecco report, Most in-Demand Profiles in Spain, published on Wednesday. Despite the difficulties in finding candidates, this percentage of 52.9% has been reduced by 28 percentage points in 1 year. Moreover, the situation varies by sector and autonomous community. However, the most in-demand workers and the most difficult to find are IT professionals, who have been the most difficult positions to fill for years, as Adecco points out. So if you are an IT specialist and looking for a change, Spain needs you. Now let's have a look at some of the comments from previous videos. One here from Gabe the Pianist: "You had a massive camera upgrade, right? Much better image quality." Yeah, Gabe, thanks for the comment, but no, I haven't upgraded my camera. I'm still using the same one. I've just changed the lens. Instead of using this 20 to 60mm zoom lens, which is the one that I have been using for the last year or so, I decided to put a 35mm prime lens on the camera, and you can see the results. But the main difference is the aperture, which before was set at 3.7 more or less, but now it's set at 2. And the other day I had it opened at 1.8. So that's the main reason for the change in image quality in the videos recently. One here from Janet: "Do you feel the vaccination rule will change for adults? I would like to go to Ibiza but have 2 jabs and don't want the booster." Yeah, Janet, thanks for the comment, and to be completely honest, I have no idea whether these new booster requirements will change anytime soon. We saw the other day how the government changed the entry requirements for British teenagers who are not vaccinated. So basically, anything is possible. But I think this new 270-day rule is an EU requirement, and as we know, those are harder to change. But we'll see what happens over the next few months as the tourism season approaches, and if the hotel and tourist industry start to complain, we might see some changes. One here from DB: "I'm an international primary teacher hoping to teach in Spain next year. If anyone has any info on salaries in cities like Malaga and Valencia, I'd greatly appreciate it." Yeah, DB, thanks for the comment, and I'm not sure what the salaries are like in the cities that you mentioned there, Malaga and Valencia, for that profession. But here in Madrid, I believe international school primary teachers are paid quite well. My former neighbour to the left was a teacher at one of these schools, and I never heard her complain about the salary. But if anybody has a better idea what salaries are like in those schools, please let us know in the comment section below. One here from Luis: everything is going up, even here in the US, but salaries remain the same. Yeah, Luis, thanks for the comment, and you're right, things are going up here, things are going up there, things are going up everywhere, except for salaries, unfortunately. So I guess we'll just have to tighten our belts and weather the storm. One here from Carrie: great subjects today, Stu. I'm a granny, so schools are out. However, you never know if my grandson is going to join me in Bilbao. The school in the middle sounds like a fab choice. I'm into politics, but Mama told me never to speak of politics or religion in polite society. I've been trying to figure out their party system on my own, and it's been tough. Bilbao rocks, but I lived in the Mediterranean in the 80s. Good times, if you know what I mean. Good day for you, and I love your live show and guests. Yeah, Carrie, thanks for the comment, and good to see that you like the new live format that I have been trying out in recent times. And you're right, it's not a good idea to talk about religion and politics in a polite society if you don't want to make enemies. And I imagine that there were some great times to be had in the Mediterranean back in the 80s, because as we all know, the 80s absolutely rocked. And good luck trying to work out politics here, because even after 22 years of living in this country, I've still got no idea. One here from Gail: Stuart, compliments to you on your driving skills. For as long as you've lived in Spain, you haven't picked up any of the irritating Spanish habits like following way too close, exceeding all the speed limits, and trying to take off your left fender when they're passing you and need to cut in too soon. Stay safe and keep up the good work. Yeah, Gail, thanks for the comment, but unfortunately I have picked up a few bad driving habits driving here in Spain, and one of them is that I seem to be a lot more aggressive when I drive. Obviously you don't see that in the videos, but I quite often lose my temper on the roads here, and basically it's because of all of the things that you mentioned in your comment. People driving way too close, some people driving way too fast while others drive way too slow, and people that think it's okay to cut in at the last minute to exit a highway when you have been sitting patiently in a queue for minutes. But as my girlfriend often says, el tráfico aquí puede ser heavy. And finally, one here from Jeff: Stuart, is Spanish only spoken in your house? Yeah, Jeff, thanks for the comment, and sí señor, se habla español aquí en esta casa. Mi novia habla en español, mi hijo habla en español, la perra ladra en español, y por eso no tengo más remedio que hablar en español. Así es mi vida aquí en España. On that note, I'll wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. Debate the video out as you normally do. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.